Hey y'all, welcome in. So, got a little bit of a different setup right now because my phone, the screen is really messed up, and it kind of feels like I'm a little bit mad at God, I would say, for this happening with my screen because I have so much like heavy burdens that I'm carrying in my life, and it's like for this shit to happen with my phone again, because I just got it fixed like 4 months ago, and for it to be broken again, I'm like, damn, motherfucker. And the interesting thing I thought about was like, it low-key feels like I'm walking on eggshells with my phone. So one pattern I've been working on lately is walking on eggshells with people. And my phone, the screen is defective. So I got the screen replaced a while back. So it keeps restarting, just blacking out, not working randomly. And it's like I'm walking on eggshells with my goddamn phone now, too. But, yeah, so anyways, this video is about Attack on Titan. So, I really love this show. If you haven't seen it, there's definitely going to be spoilers in this video. So, regardless though, I recommend you stay. There's lots of beautiful lessons in this show. I have a couple other videos on it, and you can check my playlist tab to find them. So, just for some context, I am an expert on spotting and protecting myself from manipulation. I have done extensive studies on psychology, narcissism, manipulation online, and also in my own life. So I have gone through the perfect experiences that have really taught me a lot about psychology and manipulation, and that's something I'm really grateful for, you know. I like to look at life kind of like when you see someone who has a very different life than you, oftentimes it's because they're being taught very different things. And, you know, just because we go through more things or less, it doesn't really mean, you know, you're bad if you go through more. It's more like, what are you learning from? And so I would say my soul is a challenging soul. My soul challenges me a lot. And when my soul calls the shots, I listen. But that's kind of what my life has been. My soul just challenges the hell out of me. But anyway, so I'm going to analyze Attack on Titan for you now. So my general consensus on the show is controversial, I would say. But I think that Eren is the true hero of the show. And I use that word very intentionally, true. The true hero. There's a lot of characters in that show that play the hero and end up harming people. But Eren is the true hero, and he did harm people, and that's where it gets a little like this is a show, not real life kind of thing. But I'm going to share the lessons with you. So this video is going to focus on episode 20 of season 4. And this episode I think is very publicly misunderstood. One thing I've noticed about Eren is that he doesn't care if people misunderstand him. When people in the show are misunderstanding, misinterpreting him from the place of their own trauma and their own illusions, he doesn't fight with them. He doesn't explain himself. He just kind of sees the truth and knows the higher perspective. And that's what I see in Eren. Specifically, I'll go into this shortly. When Sasha died, he was very misunderstood by Connie. And he was the only one who actually truly mourned her in a healthy way. He appreciated her and felt joy for the memories that he had with her. And so that shows something very deep about his character. That he had a very strong connection to life, light. So this show is where my consensus kind of creates a conflict. I mean, this episode 20, is where my consensus creates a bit of a conflict, because general opinion online is that Aaron manipulated his father into killing the royal family and taking the royal titan, and manipulated the memories that Grisha, his father, saw. And when I saw the scene and watched this episode just now, it wasn't actually ever explicitly confirmed that Aaron manipulated or like withheld memories in the show. Because one thing we know about Aaron's character is that he doesn't explain himself when he's misunderstood. So that's where it's coming from for me. And I'm looking at this from a lot of background knowledge about manipulation. So I'm going to try and explain it to you in a way that makes sense. One thing about people under illusion is that it is very easy for them to misinterpret things. And what I mean by under illusion is that a lot of people in the show were heavily indoctrinated, right? Almost the whole world was convinced that Eldians were evil just because they had the potential for power. And that's a manipulation and an indoctrination. Marley indoctrinated the Marleyan people, the Marleyan Eldians, into believing they were evil for the motive to take Eldians' power and dominate the world. So that's why people manipulate others. There's usually some sort of ulterior motive. And in episode 20, the scene between Frida, the holder of the founding titan, and Aaron's dad Grisha is very profound and holds amazing lessons that I'm super excited to share with you right now. So, when Frida and Grisha are speaking back and forth, Frida becomes bound by the old king's will. To be bound is to be controlled. Freedom is restricted. One thing we know about Aaron is that he's a warrior for freedom. He's a fucking warrior for freedom. And then in this episode, we learn that the attack titan itself is a warrior for freedom. And there's so many things going in my head. I hope I can get them all out to you. But the attack titan is the warrior for freedom. They have that drive for freedom. And I'm getting tingles in my body. Ooh, my heart's lighting up. All right. So Frida becomes bound. And the king's will over her is the old king's will over her is very narcissistic, for sure. And Frida starts actually gaslighting Grisha. The dynamic that was occurring with Frida was gaslighting since she was bound. And she basically told a narrative about how the Eldians were evil, they needed to atone for their sins, and that the world is peaceful as it is, and that when the Eldians die, the world will continue to be peaceful, and it will only be hell as long as the Eldians are alive. And that was her casting an illusion and gaslighting Grisha. We see that the world was never peaceful, even when the Eldians were alive. That the Eldians were a scapegoat for the deep human cruelty that ran through every race on the planet. Greed, cruelty, manipulation. The Eldians were not evil. It was the patterns of humanity that were. And the world was in constant war. And so the king's will is actually a very common misunderstanding that survivors have. That submission creates peace. Submission creates peace. It does not. All it does is create an illusion of peace. As long as we're believing the Eldians are evil, we're under the illusion that we're fighting for a good cause. But it's just an avoidance of the actual root cause, the humans in the show's mental illness. So, a lot of times in our personal lives, when we meet abusive people, we may believe that complying or submitting to them brings us peace. It really just masks the war that is already underneath our relationships. Compliance. Narcissists often really like it when you comply with them and submit to them, because it provides them with their false illusion of peace as well. They cannot kind of exist without it, without submission from others. And so the king's will was that the Eldians would peacefully pass away, or not peacefully, would be eventually destroyed and pass away, and then the world would stay in peace. And that the king's will was that he was saving the world by binding his heirs of the royal family to a vow renouncing war. But we know that this vow renouncing war only creates submission. It doesn't actually create peace, because the Eldians were never the problem. They were just the scapegoat for the problem. So she's telling this gaslighting narrative to Grisha. And then Aaron comes in. Come here, honey. Come on. It's my cat. Come on, honey. Okay, so then Aaron comes into the equation through the paths. So with Grisha's Titan power, he is seeing Aaron like in what we would call the spirit realm. That's what the paths are. And Aaron starts telling Grisha, okay, first of all, so Grisha went to the royal family to kill all of them and take the founding Titan. Frida held the founding Titan. Grisha went there to take the founding Titan. He broke down in hesitation, crying, saying he didn't want to kill innocent people, which is like valid for sure, yeah. And then Aaron comes over, and in this scene it appears that Aaron is manipulating Grisha. It really does, but something about it doesn't sit right with me. It didn't seem like me, an expert on manipulation, it didn't seem like manipulation to me, because Aaron just kind of like told the truth. Manipulators don't usually tell the truth. And what Aaron said was, he reminded Grisha of his past So he reminded Grisha of his previous plans when Grisha lived in Marley, the other country. He planned to restore the Eldians, to bring justice to Eldians, and his whole family and group were killed. And that is when Grisha inherited the Attack Titan and went over to Aaron's island Paradis. And so Aaron reminded him of his own goal, of the intentions he started for the Eldians. And Aaron reminded him of his family that was killed, his friends that were killed. And he gave some sort of like motivational kind of words of like, you keep moving forward even when you die. And to me, my heart's lighting up again, it's not really manipulation. Reminding someone of their own goals and their own dreams isn't necessarily manipulation. He did speak the truth. What Frida did was actually like more manipulative, for sure. Hers was definitely manipulation, what she said, casting the illusions of false peace and submission being the answer. That was manipulation. And one thing that I do in my personal life when I'm in the presence of manipulation or gaslighting is I anchor myself into reality by speaking the truth. So whenever I'm in the presence of gaslighting, I will intuitively state reality, state truth. And what that does for me is it creates a sort of shield in my mind of like not allowing the gaslighting to affect me. Side note here, kids will also do this intuitively when they're around gaslighters. I observed this. They will start kind of asking adults around them to anchor them to the truth. So they'll start like saying lies and then saying the truth. And when I witness this, I'll say, that's a true statement. That's not a true statement. Because kids can get very affected by gaslighting. And gaslighting can be very covert in the sense that, like, Frida wasn't necessarily denying reality in a physical way, but she was in a psychological way, you know, saying that the world was peaceful and that the Eldians were making it hell. It's gaslighting. It's not true. So what it looks like to me from my lens is that Aaron anchored Grisha into the truth. That the gaslighting had actually affected Grisha. And Aaron anchored that truth. And that's the point of, you know, the binding, right? To manipulate people. Frida she really told some powerful illusions that any conditioned mind would fall victim to, and we saw that with Zeke. Zeke totally believed Frida and thought that Aaron was the villain. Zeke got extremely suspicious of Aaron. And Aaron didn't really explain himself at all. And so Grisha, here's where it gets like controversial. So in the next few scenes, Grisha states some assumptions about Aaron, and so does Zeke. And then modern opinion on the show kind of takes these assumptions as like canon fact. And I don't necessarily think they're fact, knowing that Aaron's character was quite mysterious and misunderstood. And knowing how psychology works, Zeke actually had strong narcissistic traits. So he had a bit of a savior complex. And most of his motives were ulterior, in the sense that he was trying to get back at his father, not actually trying to save the world. So he believed that his euthanization plan, basically the same as Frida's manipulation, the submission to the world would save the world. And he was really just all doing that in kind of revenge, not avenge, revenge on his father for abusing him as a child and not giving him attention. And so when Zeke is coming from that place, he's not actually in alignment with freedom and saving. Aaron was, though. Aaron was in alignment with freedom and saving. And so Zeke was very narcissistic. So when people are very narcissistic, they're also very prone to misinterpretation and misunderstanding. And that's what I see in Zeke, and that's also what I see in Grisha in those scenes. Zeke assumes that Aaron manipulated the memories of Grisha, but it's not confirmed. Nowhere in the episode does it say that like Aaron literally did that, because we saw in previous episodes that memories just randomly came to Aaron. And Aaron didn't explicitly confirm that he did withhold certain memories from Grisha. And why I'm saying this is like, if Aaron did withhold memories from Grisha, that kind of gets more into the manipulation line a little bit, for sure. But if we want to get spiritual for a second, what that scene reminded me of, like only getting certain memories, it really reminded me of my own life. Because like this situation with my phone, I know it serves a purpose. My phone being broken and fucked up. I know it serves a purpose. And I know it's doing something for me, but I don't quite know what. And just like Grisha was mad at Aaron, I'm a little bit mad at God. Because why the fuck is this happening? Because I don't know why. I don't have all the answers. And that's what we see in Grisha. He doesn't know quite why he can only see certain memories. But Aaron's not actually in charge of the divine plan. Aaron is kind of like a vessel for freedom. And we see themes of the divine and like God in Attack on Titan too. But yeah, Aaron's not actually in charge of it. And it's like sometimes God orchestrates things and we don't get to see the future. We don't get to see the bigger picture. And knowing that the Attack Titan is all about freedom, God is all about freedom and truth as well. And, oh yeah. Yeah. So God is all about freedom and truth. Knowing that, it would make sense that the Attack Titan's memory, future memory ability, the ability to see future memories, would actually behave kind of like God, in the way that sometimes your intuition might tell you things about the future and you can think things, but you don't quite know why you're doing them. Something is guiding you, but you don't quite get the whole picture. So, yeah. And we saw, it's really beautiful how Grisha kind of like atoned for his own actions against Zeke, abusing Zeke, and apologized to him in this episode. But yeah, so it's never actually confirmed that Aaron withheld the memories. If he did, it's more manipulation-ish. But it's very symbolic then when Aaron is chained in the spirit realm, aka the past in the show. Aaron is chained, and somehow he rips himself from the chains, and he starts chasing after Ymir, the bound child in the past, the spirit realm. And this is so symbolic because this is like the power of freedom and truth. It's like you can unbind yourself from anything. And Zeke even starts projecting on Aaron. So Zeke is telling Aaron, you're so powerless, you can't stop Ymir, you can't change anything, you're so powerless. And that was a straight up projection from Zeke. Zeke was the one who was bound to his own trauma with his dad. All his actions came from his trauma. He wasn't free. Zeke. Aaron was free. Yeah, Aaron was free. Aaron was so free that he broke himself from chains in the spirit realm somehow. The sheer determination and his alignment with freedom unbound him in their paths. And so that was a projection. You know, narcissistic people are very powerless. When we're powerless when we are bound, we are powerful when we are free. And Aaron was very powerful. There's so many moments in the show where you can see Aaron's alignment with freedom help him in so many situations and protect him. And this is the same for you. Your alignment with freedom and truth helps you in the same way. It's helped me in miraculous ways in my life. One thing I tell people is that I don't play narcissistic games, I don't kiss bosses' asses, and I don't lie. I'm not perfect. Sometimes I might mistake things, but I don't lie because I want to keep my alignment with truth and freedom, because I know that keeping my alignment brings in so many more blessings than a silly reward a lie could get, than kissing my boss's ass. And I know the consequences of lying. That breaking that alignment sends me down a path that I don't want to go on, that I don't want to be on. You know, each time we lie, we program our brain out of reality, and then we start gaslighting people like Frida. Like, it takes time. It does. And like, if you lie, we all can lie as like a trauma response, I want to say. I don't want to shame anyone for lying, but I'm talking about like lying and like, you know, thinking it has no consequences type of thing. Not like lying because if you tell the truth you're gonna get punished. Like, that makes sense. But yeah, I went a little on a tangent, so let's come back. This is Sushi, by the way. So yeah, we see he unbinds himself. And what I see in that scene when Aaron breaks himself out of the chains, he breaks the chains and he goes chasing after Ymir, is that while Zeke is believing that no one should stop Ymir and that submission is the only way, Aaron sees a future. Aaron sees potential. He believes in himself. He believes in the freedom. And it's like, he's not just fighting for his own freedom. He's fighting for everyone in the series. He's fighting for Ymir, to unbind Ymir. the little girl in the past who's been bound by the king forever. And that is justice. That is justice. It's absolutely justice. And also the scene with, I'm gonna backtrack a little here. The scene with Grisha and Frida when they're about to fight and they're talking, and then Aaron kind of reminds him of his dreams, Grisha. That scene, what I see in Aaron is less manipulation and more an embodiment of the truth of the Eldian victims. Aaron in that scene is the embodiment of the truth of Eldian victims. So when Aaron is speaking that truth, like avenge your family, he's not just speaking for Grisha's family. He's speaking for every other Eldian in the world who's facing oppression. He's speaking for every single Eldian who's been scapegoated and abused. Every innocent person who's been killed, scapegoated, and abused because of the normal humans who wanted their power and who were abusing their own power. And that's justice. And I see him as this like mirror. It's almost like Aaron was created as like a force of divine justice to stand for every innocent victim, the Eldians. Ooh, that's powerful. That's fucking powerful. I nailed that, dude. Good job, Ab. But yeah, so also I don't think it's ever clarified if like Aaron can see the entire future or only a little bit like Grisha. I haven't finished watching season 4. Like I've finished it, but I haven't finished it with like my freaking expert eyes. So yeah, so Aaron was fighting for truth, for justice, for the people who were bound, and we see in the end of the show that happens. He breaks the curse. Oh, I want to talk about this too. Thank you. Okay. Fragmentation. So we can think of a narcissistic system as just like a highly fragmented system. So I see this with the Titans. So do you know what narcissistic roles are? Just trying to make sure you can understand. So a lot of things I talk about, there's just a lot of like background knowledge that's needed to like understand it. So in a narcissistic system, there's the narcissist, there's the golden child, there's the invisible child, and there's the scapegoats. In this narcissistic system, so that's like a family, right? But it expands outwards. So a family can be a narcissistic system, a group of business can be a narcissistic system. So like one business in one industry can all have different roles, right? And so then countries can too. So we see this in the Attack on Titan world, where like Paradise Island, that country, is the scapegoat for everything. You could probably say that Marley was like the big narcissist who was dominating the world. And then there's like other countries, right? So the whole like country system of Attack on Titan was like a narcissistic system, right? And we can kind of relate that down to the Titans. There was 9 Titans. And when I heard that like the Attack Titan fights for truth and freedom, it's almost like when this curse came into the world, the antidote to it also came into the world too through the Attack Titan. And the most powerful attackers, not drama triangle victim, villain, heroes, attackers, protectors, are people in alignment with freedom and truth. So the curse breaker role is like the Attack Titan in the Titan, out of the 9 Titans, the curse breaker role. with that drive where like anything is possible. That's like the thing about freedom, like anything is possible. I live that. I feel like that. Sometimes I look at my life and I'm like, why the fuck am I like happy right now? But so curse breaker. Oh yeah. So if you don't know, curse breakers. Hold on, I need to like regroup my thoughts. So I think I've heard someone say, like, every problem in the world comes with a solution. And that's kind of what we see with the attack titan. It's like this titan curse caused havoc in the world. And it wasn't really the curse that caused havoc. It was more like the way humans wielded power that caused all the war and chaos and havoc, right? Because power isn't the issue in the show, and even in human life. It's how people use that power. And we can apply this to a lot of things in our life. You know, money isn't the issue. It's how people use their money. You know, any title, any label, any name, any word isn't the issue. It's how that is used. And we really see this lesson in Attack on Titan with the Titan power. And so it's almost like that curse is kind of like a lesson for humanity. And so Eren was kind of fighting for like a almost like selfless cause, I think is. Sorry, my cat's claw looks so funny. It's got like some hair stuck on it. Okay, I got distracted. Almost like selfless cause, I would say. Where he's trying to break Ymir free. And he even tries to break Mikasa free. And ends up and does it. It's like he's not fighting for himself. Like Zeke was trying to save the world from his own trauma. Many other characters, Reiner was trying to save the world too. From an ulterior place. Eren was fighting for freedom. Cold hard freedom. Freedom for Ymir. Freedom for Mikasa. Freedom for himself. And freedom for innocent people. He understood, just like Grisha understood, that the Eldians weren't persecutors just for existing with power. That it wasn't their fault. And that the world wasn't this peaceful place that would be resolved by the Eldians dying. It wouldn't. Because it was never the Eldians or the power that was the problem. It was human nature in the show. So yeah, to recap a little bit of the lessons in here. One way to antidote gaslighting in your life is to speak the truth. Anchor yourself to reality. And when I say speak the truth, we kind of still stay in alignment, right? If you see an ugly truth about someone, that doesn't necessarily mean that it needs to be spoken. We still care for others, care for ourselves as well. You know, if we know something is going to cause a bad reaction from someone that puts us in danger, emotional or physical, we don't do that, you know. We care about ourselves and we care about others, you know. Part of fighting for freedom and justice, or like standing for it, is that we do harm to none, right? And to care about others is to care about oneself. So I just wanted to throw that out there when I talk about the truth. I don't want to encourage anyone to just go around insulting people or whatever, or like saying hard truths. But some people need to hear the truth. And that's kind of what we see in Attack on Titan. You know, Eren was this embodiment of truth that was needed in a world that was full of lies and illusions. Oh yeah, full of lies and illusions. And he was like this embodiment of truth to bring balance back to that. So, kind of resolved the conflict about Eren being a manipulator. Looking at the show from a deep analytical psychological perspective, truly understanding how like psychology works, we see how there's so much misinterpretation from a lot of the characters, and like props to the creator, because this show was clearly so well thought out. It portrays human psychology like incredibly well, and I love that. And I love this show. It's always been my favorite anime since I was a kid. And yeah, so I think that's it. This video is getting a little bit long. Okay, recapping the lesson. So gaslighting, anchor yourself into truth. Understanding misinterpretations and people who are in illusions, right? So Zeke, whenever people have ulterior motives, they often misinterpret things and they aren't able to see the truth. So ulterior motives kind of exist on a scale. They can be for self-preservation for trauma survivors, or for very dark things like the Marlians wanting to abuse their power, right? So, an example. But you can check out my other videos to like learn more about this stuff. Also, you can check out my shop if you want to learn from me some of the skills that I have, in my ability to spot and protect myself from manipulation. All of my products are built to make you independent, basically. So it's like, I want you to build your skills, but you have to be willing to build your skills. So if that sounds like something that you're down for, check out my shop. So yeah, I'm also working on a course for personal transformation in regards to protecting yourself. And there's a lot of different things that it works through. One of the first modules is about personal power that will actually help you complete the course. So it's specifically designed to set you up for success, the whole entire course. And I've put so much thought and time into it, like so much, to the point where it's like let's say this, from a perspective of someone who has already done this transformation that I want to help guide you through. So stay tuned for that. If you want to try me out, check out my lower priced offers first. Click the link down below. But yeah, illusions in the consciousness cause misinterpretations. So people can like let's say you have a deep attachment to a parent. An ulterior motive would be that you would distort any kind of information that exposes your parent as not as innocent as they seem. That's an ulterior motive. Because I don't want to admit this about this person, I'm going to distort this truth. And that's a motive that distorts you from the truth. Another kind of like on the darker side would be like the Marlians. I want to steal this power without looking like the villain, so I'm going to distort truth in other people's minds. That's like that darker side of ulterior motives. But yeah, so breaking free, fighting for freedom and truth. Truth and freedom provides a power that is so much stronger than what we could do alone. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave a like if you enjoyed it. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments, and how this video has impacted you or how I'm helping you. Your feedback helps me to grow and improve this channel, so that I can be fulfilling service to others in the most impactful way possible. And I really appreciate you guys already. A lot of the beautiful comments you guys leave, thank you. You guys have truly been helping me so much, and it's really nice to hear from you and see what you guys think and what you have to say and all your intelligent perspectives and additions. And yeah, so stay tuned for more show and movie analyses. I have this thing where I can't watch movies or shows a lot because my analytical brain just fucking sees everything and I can't turn it off. And when things are like unhealthy, or I see them as like, wow, this could like negatively impact people, it like bothers me. So I have to like limit my show and movie time. But I think the lessons in Attack on Titan are freaking powerful and like exactly like the type of lessons the world needs to hear. So yeah, if you're wondering why I'm so analytical, I'm a projector in human design, and what that means is that I kind of have a hyper focus on like one thing that I'm really good at, that I can give like bomb ass advice on, and that for me is like psychology and spirituality. And I also bring new perspectives into the world. That's one of my gifts. So I recommend you check out human design if you haven't heard of it. When we come into alignment is when I've noticed that I've really been resonating with my zodiac. Like, talk to me 6 years ago when I checked out my zodiac chart or like my human design shit, I would have been like, what? But now that I really know myself, I look at like my zodiac or my human design chart and I'm like, damn, motherfucker, why is that shit like me? But yeah, so I gotta end the video off, and this is a long outro.